School of Management Studies, IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 006 Marketing Management for MBA program. Block 2 Product and Pricing Decisions. Unit 8 Pricing Decisions Part 2.
Pricing methods. After discussing the various considerations affecting pricing policies, it would be useful to discuss the alternative pricing methods most commonly used. These methods are: number 1, cost plus or full cost pricing; number 2, pricing for a rate of return, also called target pricing; number 3, marginal cost pricing; number 4, going rate pricing; and number 5, customary pricing. The first 3 methods are cost-oriented, as the prices are determined on the basis of cost. The last 2 methods are competition-oriented, as the prices here are set on the basis of what competitors are charging. Let's take them one by one. Cost plus or full cost pricing. This is most common method used in pricing. Under this method, the price is set to cover cost, like materials, labor, and overhead, and a predetermined percentage for profit. The percentage differs strikingly among industries, among member firms, and even among products of the same firm. This may reflect differences in competitive intensity, differences in cost base, and differences in the rate of turnover and risk. In fact, it denotes some vague notion of a just profit. What determines the normal profit? Ordinarily, margins charged are highly sensitive to the market situation. They may, however, tend to be inflexible in many cases, like: number 1, they may become merely a matter of common practice; number 2, markups may be determined by trade associations either by means of advisory price list or by actual lists of markups distributed to members; number 3, profits sanctioned under price control, as the maximum profit margins remain the same even after the price control is discontinued. These margins are considered ethical as well as reasonable. Its inadequacies are: number 1, it ignores demand. There is no necessary relationship between cost and what people will pay for a product. Number 2, it fails to reflect the forces of competition adequately. Regardless of the margin of profit added, no profit is made unless what is produced is actually sold. Number 3, any method of allocating overheads is arbitrary and may be unrealistic. As different prices would give rise to different sales volumes, unit costs are a function of price and therefore cannot provide a suitable basis for fixing prices. The situation becomes more difficult in multi-product firms. And number 4, it may be based on a concept of cost which may not be relevant for the pricing decision. Explanation for the widespread use of full cost pricing. A clear explanation cannot be given for the widespread use of full cost pricing, as firms vary greatly in size, product characteristics, and product range, and face varying degrees of competition in markets for their products. However, there are many points that explain its popularity. They are: number 1, prices based on full cost look factual and precise and may be more defensible on moral grounds than prices established by other means. Number 2, Firms preferring stability use full cost as a guide to pricing in an uncertain market where knowledge is incomplete. In cases where costs of getting information are high and the process of trial and error is costly, they use it to reduce the cost of decision making. Number 3. In practice, firms are uncertain about the shape of their demand curve and about the probable response to any price change. This makes it too risky to move away from full cost pricing. Number 4. Fixed costs must be covered in the long run, and firms feel insecure that if they are not covered in the long run either. Number 5. A major uncertainty in setting a price is the unknown reaction of rivals to that price. When products and production processes are similar, cost plus pricing may offer source of competitive stability. When products and production processes are similar, cost plus pricing may offer source of competitive stability by setting a price that is more likely to yield a price that is more likely to yield. Number 6. Management tends to know more about product cost than other factors which are relevant to pricing. And number 7. Cost plus pricing is especially useful in the cases like number 1. Public utilities such as electricity supply, transport, where the objective is to provide basic amenities to society at a price which even the poorest can afford. Number 2. Product tailoring, that is, determining the product design when the selling price is predetermined. The selling price may be determined by government as in case of certain drugs, cement and fertilizers. By working back from this price, the product design and the permissible cost is decided upon. This approach takes into account the market realities by looking from the viewpoint of the buyer in terms of what he wants and what he will pay. Number 3. Pricing products that are designed to the specification of a single buyer as applicable in case of a turnkey project. The basis of pricing is estimated cost plus gross margin that the firm could have got by using facilities otherwise. And number 4. Monopsony buying, where the buyers know a great deal about suppliers' cost, as in case of an automobile buying components from its ancillary units. They may make the products themselves if they do not like the price. The more relevant cost is the cost that the buying company, say the automobile manufacturer, would incur if it made the product itself. In India, cost plus method is widely used. There are 2 special reasons which could explain its wide use in India. Number 1. The prevalence of sellers' market in India makes it possible for the manufacturers to pass on the increase in cost to the consumers. And number 2, cost plus a reasonable margin of profit are taken into consideration for the purposes of price fixation in the price-controlled industries in India. Thus, this method has the tacit approval of the government. To conclude, cost plus is a pricing convention relying on arbitrary cost and arbitrary markups. It is adopted because it is simpler to apply. Pricing for a rate of return. An important problem that a firm might have to face is one of adjusting the prices to changes in cost. For this purpose, the popular policies that are often followed are: number 1. Revise prices to maintain a constant percentage markup over cost. Number 2. Revise prices to maintain profits as a constant percentage of total sales. And number 3. Revise prices to maintain a constant return on invested capital. Under the third formula, we assume that the capital investment is the same. Therefore, the required profit is rupees 1,20,000. That is 15% on rupees 8 lakh. The sales value would then be rupees 12,78,000 and the selling price per unit would be rupees 12.78. Rate of return pricing is a refined variant of full cost pricing. Naturally, it has the same inadequacies, viz., it tends to ignore demand and fails to reflect competition adequately. It is based upon a concept of cost which may not be relevant to the pricing decision at hand and overplays the precision of allocated fixed cost and capital employed. Marginal cost pricing. Both under full cost pricing and the rate of return pricing, prices are based on total cost comprising fixed and variable cost. Under marginal cost pricing, fixed costs are ignored and prices are determined on the basis of marginal cost. The firm uses only those costs that are directly attributable to the output of a specific product. With marginal cost pricing, the firm seeks to fix its prices so as to maximize its total contribution to fixed cost and profit. Unless the manufacturer's products are in direct competition with each other, this objective is achieved by considering each product in isolation and fixing its price at a level which is calculated to maximize its total contribution. Advantages. Its advantages are: number 1. With marginal cost pricing, prices are never rendered uncompetitive merely because of a higher fixed overhead structure. The firm's prices will only be rendered uncompetitive by higher variable cost, and these are controllable in the short run while certain fixed costs are not. Number 2. Marginal cost pricing permits a manufacturer to develop a far more aggressive pricing policy than does full cost pricing. An aggressive pricing policy should lead to higher sales and possibly reduced marginal cost through increased marginal physical productivity and lower input factor prices. And number 3, marginal cost pricing is more useful for pricing over the life cycle of a product, which requires short-run marginal cost and separable fixed cost data relevant to each particular state of the cycle, not long-run full cost data. Marginal cost pricing is more effective than full cost pricing because of two characteristics of modern business. Number 1. The prevalence of multi-product, multi-process and multi-market concerns makes the absorption of fixed cost into product cost absurd. The total cost of separate products can never be estimated satisfactorily, and the optimal relationship between cost and prices will vary substantially both among different products and between different markets. Number 2. In many businesses, the dominant force is innovation combined with constant scientific and technological development, and the long-run situation is often highly unpredictable. There is a series of short runs of production, and one must aim at maximizing contribution in each short run. When rapid developments are taking place, fixed cost and demand conditions may change from one short run to another, and only by maximizing contribution in each short run will profit be maximized in the long run. Limitations. Number 1. The encouragement to take on business which makes only a small contribution may be so strong that when an opportunity for higher contribution business arises, such business may have to be foregone because of inadequate free capacity unless there is an expansion in organization and facilities with the attendant increase in fixed cost. Number 2, in a period of business recession, firms using marginal cost pricing may lower prices in order to maintain business, and this may lead other firms to reduce their prices, leading to cutthroat competition. With the existence of idle capacity and the pressure of fixed cost, firms may successively cut down prices to a point at which no one is earning sufficient total contribution to cover its fixed cost and earn a fair return on capital employed. In spite of its advantage, due to its inherent weakness of not ensuring the coverage of fixed cost, marginal cost pricing has usually been confined to pricing decision relating to special orders. Going rate pricing. Instead of the cost, the emphasis here is on the market. The firm adjusts its own price policy to the general pricing structure in the industry. Where costs are particularly difficult to measure, this may seem to be the logical first step in a rational pricing policy. Many cases of this type are situations of price leadership. Where price leadership is well established, charging according to what competitors are charging may be the only safe policy. It must be noted that going rate pricing is not quite the same as accepting a price impersonally set by a near-perfect market. Rather, it would seem that the firm has some power to set its own price and could be a price maker if it chooses to face all the consequences. It prefers, however, to take the safe course and conform to the policy of others. Customary pricing. Prices of certain goods become more or less fixed, not by deliberate action on the seller's part, but as a result of their having prevailed for a considerable period of time. For such goods, changes in cost are usually reflected in changes in quality or quantity. Only when the costs change significantly, the customary prices of these goods are changed. Customary prices may be maintained even when products are changed. For example, the new model of an electric fan may be priced at the same level as the discontinued model. This is usually so even in the face of lower cost. A lower price may cause an adverse reaction on the competitors, leading to a price war, so also on the consumers who may think that the quality of the new model is inferior. Perhaps going along with the old price is the easiest thing to do. Whatever be the reasons, the maintenance of existing prices as long as possible is a factor in the pricing of many products. If a change in customary prices is intended, the pricing executive must study the pricing policies and practices of competing firms and the behavior and emotional makeup of his opposite number in those firms. Another possible way out, especially when an upward move is sought, is to test the new prices in a limited market to determine the consumer reaction. Objectives of pricing policy. Before a marketer fixes a price, he should keep in mind certain basic considerations. The price policy he adopts is closely related to his other policies like production program, advertising policy, and selling methods. For example, it may be necessary to reduce the price to offset the probable loss of sales from a lower advertising budget or to enable fuller utilization of plant capacity more quickly. Aggressive sales campaign may be necessary to meet the advent of a new competitor. Your price should not be so high that it attracts others to compete with you. A low price policy may result in such a high volume of sales and low unit cost that profits are maximized even at low prices. Henry Ford quoted in Philip and Duncan Marketing 3rd edition that, "My policy is to reduce the price, extend the operations, and improve the article." You will note that the reduction of price comes first. I have never considered any cost as fixed. Therefore, I first reduce the price to a point where I believe more sales will result. The new price forces the cost down by forcing everybody in the plant to the highest point of efficiency. Unquote. If a marketing manager is to make effective pricing decisions, he should be clear about the firm's long-term marketing objectives for the entire range of products and services. If the firm is interested in increased market share, it would have to resort to penetration pricing. If it is interested in short-term profitability, it may have a higher price even at the expense of sales volume and market share. Consumer psychology and pricing. Sensitivity to price change will vary from consumer to consumer. In a particular situation, the behavior of one individual may not be the same as that of the other. Some important characteristics of consumer behavior as revealed by research and experience are: Number 1. From the point of view of the consumer, prices are quantitative and precise, whereas product quality, product image, customer service, promotion, and similar factors are qualitative and ambiguous. It is easier to speculate about what consumers would do if prices raised by 5% than if the quality improved by 5%. Number 2. Price constitutes a barrier to demand when it is too low just as much as when it is too high. Above a particular price, the article is regarded as too expensive, and below another price as constituting a risk of not giving adequate value. If the price is too low, consumers will tend to think that a product is of inferior quality. When Balsara, the then manufacturer of Odonil room freshener and Promise toothpaste, realized that pricing a product too low could adversely affect its sales by creating a credibility problem, they began to price their products with higher unit margins to make higher advertising outlays to emphasize product attributes rather than the price, and provide more attractive margins to dealers to push up their products. Having acquired both the brands, Odonil and Promise by Dabur 15 years back from Balsara in today's context, certainly the pricing strategies of both the brands by Dabur would be very different and will be worth analyzing to arrive at the reasons for their respective strategies. Number 3. Price inevitably enters into the consumer's assessment of quality. The two reasons for this are: Number 1. It needs expert knowledge and appropriate equipment to test the quality or durability of some particular products, to say nothing of the time and cost involved in carrying out a proper test. And number 2, customers tend to look upon price itself as a reasonably reliable indicator of quality. What is costly is thought to be of a high quality. A higher price is ordinarily taken to be a symbol of extra quality or extra value of extra prestige. It is very difficult to convince people that something cheap is of good quality and that something expensive is of poor quality. It may be easier to prove that an expensive product is of superior quality than to prove that a cheap product is of good quality. This is especially true of durable consumer goods, which are very often differentiated, at least psychologically, through branding, packaging, and advertising. In such cases, the sale of certain goods could be stimulated more effectively through higher rather than lower prices for two reasons. Number 1. The higher price increases the snob appeal of the good. And number 2, the higher price creates confidence in the customer that he is getting a good quality. To conclude, in many cases, price is used by the prospective customer as a clue for sizing up the quality of the product. This price-quality association is well established. Number 4. With rising incomes, the average consumer becomes quality conscious. An improvement may therefore lead to an increase in demand. If this is so, a time may come when a rise in price results in an increase in demand. This extreme situation may arise if price in increasingly affluent societies comes to serve merely as an indicator of quality. Number 5. Consumers may be persuaded to pay more for heavily advertised goods. A firm's size, its financial success, and even its age are often perceived by consumers as measures of quality. Well-known firms very often assert that by virtue of their reputation, they are able to charge 5 to 10% higher than the other firms, but definitely not much more. And number 6, in a comprehensive survey of consumer consciousness, it was revealed that the basic postulate of the demand theory, that is, the consumer has an appropriate knowledge of market prices, was not fundamentally wrong. There are certain types of consumers who are most likely to perceive price as an indicator of quality. They are: number 1, persons trying to achieve status. Number 2, occasional consumer who is not knowledgeable in a product area, for example, purchase of a camera. And number 3, the buyer who is impressed by the importance of quality but has difficulty in identifying it. An experimental study in India showed that more than 60% of the respondents revised their ratings of ready-made shirts after knowing their prices, indicating thereby that price information does have a significant effect on quality perception. To conclude, higher prices that increase consumer readiness to buy may sound uneconomic but may not be unrealistic. The price-quality concept has equal relevance to new product pricing. The lesson from this discussion is that the producer has considerable flexibility in pricing his products, provided he can create a psychological image of quality.
We were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program, course code Mmpc 006, Marketing Management. Course Coordinator Professor T.B. Vijay Kumar, School of Management Studies IGNOU. Edited by Savita. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.